Alright. Welcome to the Requiem for this playthrough, or something like that. I have time blocked out to record stuff. There's a Friday block for this episode to be uploaded to. I guess I'll play and upload this game. I don't have anything else to play right now. That's not unless I only want to record one episode of a new game, which would not be very fun, I don't think. Robots do not seem as useful early on, admittedly. And they're most useful when you have a bunch of stuff on screen at once. Which happens when I'm having a harder time, not an easier time. But if I eventually end up deciding to actually finish this game anyways, just on principle, it would be helpful to finish up with a little bit more recording right now. So it's kind of basically just teleported around. Look how quickly this goes, too. It's not going to stay that way, I'm certain, but... it's an interesting contrast to earlier. It's crazy how much harder this game got. I'm bummed too, I couldn't figure out how to reverse engineer the save format or something just to change it to easy mode while I was further along. So that would have been the best solution in my mind. Of course, I also ended up losing my save, so I guess that wouldn't have helped. So like, what do I talk about at this point anyways, even if I did want to talk about something? And at this point, I've basically given my thoughts on the game. Just because, for want of anything else to say, you know, I usually save that for the end. I think this game does have credits, too, for me to talk through, if I eventually get there, but... What? Come on. Oops. You make your life so much harder with one bad shot too in this game. This is an amazingly nerve-wracking game. When it's put together right. Sure did a lot, thank you. Destroy themselves before I can destroy them myself. Yeah, we can already see just how quickly the length of levels increases. I guess that's probably the issue. It being so long also just leads to the difficulty getting insanely high by the end. Like, I got through the good majority of this game without thinking it was being too crazy with difficulty on hard mode. Like, again, I'm open to the possibility I never quite got the hang of playing it the way I needed to by the end. But by the end, this game went crazy. Like, who in this game's target audience would ever want to play this game at the difficulty it eventually reaches? Like, there is such a thing as too hard even just for, like, what your supposed target audience. I have no issue with the game, like, deliberately being hard and focusing on those who want a hard game. There is a market for that, and I think it's a perfectly sensible thing to do. But there's no way that's the right decision for this game, given its target audience. The same way I wasn't complaining about Square Off being really easy, because, you know, I would probably say this was easier than I would like to have something more difficult if it was just a game on its own, outside the context of it being a licensed game, but realizing it's a licensed game for the audience that it has, the easier difficulty seems appropriate. In this game, you would likewise think it should be a bit easier. The hard mode goes insanely hard. To the point where you're wondering, like, why does this exist? A part of that is also just how long the levels get. Part of the fake difficulty, I think, is how long the levels get, so, and that combined with the cap on the pet pets and how much they cost. The more than you have. Well, trying to remember what the colors were when they were behind the tree. Yeah. So I guess that'd be one reason I was confident in trying for hard from the very beginning. Which eventually ended up biting me. Very, very hard. I don't know why I tried that shot. Come on. But the fake difficulty that comes with just making the levels longer and longer and longer, and the attrition that creates in the pet pets, and your money, consequently, I do dislike a little bit. I get part of the idea is just, apparently, given how you can get the game over, it's apparently just an idea of seeing how far you can get, as opposed to, like, it being a story you just play through. It's more of a special kind of challenge mode than it is just like a story you play through. Although that's not something you see much of these days. These days, including when this game was actually made, as long ago as that was. Which also catches me a little bit off guard. Yeah, I guess this game ultimately averted my expectations in a few bad ways. Like difficulty given its target audience. Much longer than I think it should have been for what it actually is. Having to do a worse job than it could have otherwise to make itself that long. and the RNG. I just don't have anything useful to shoot somewhere. Ah. Forgot. Getting him off screen. Even an easy mode later ends up taking a while, I'm realizing. And a while I'm doing exactly the same thing. It bothers me out too that they had so many levels in each area because they clearly couldn't come up with enough background art for each one. They end up reusing stuff, and they don't even start imitating actual things from Neopets. You would think, that's the weirdest part to me, you would think that they would have actually, I know I've said this, but you'd think they would have found it easier to do all this background art if they were using stuff from the site as inspiration. So having to come up with all this stuff themselves, they could have just looked at the website for a few minutes to see some major landmarks that would make it better as a licensed game, because hey, there's stuff from the universe here, and would have actually made the levels themselves more interesting. I don't know why they didn't do that. Because their lives must have been harder for not having that. A harder time making a worse product is a strange thing to opt for, I feel like. Oh yeah, aren't achievements a thing in this game too? And I got all of them like at the very beginning. Aren't they? They are, aren't they? Yeah, there are some achievements. And some of them are utterly ridiculous, like complete every single level flawlessly. For some reason. Again, like, this game has weird expectations. He also does some annoying stuff like, it makes a folder. I never mentioned this, but every time you launch it, it makes a folder in My Documents, which contains, for some reason, a log file of the game running. Which is one of the things I tried to read through to actually figure out where this game stores its save data, and it doesn't tell you, which you would think would be a useful thing to put in the log file. But every time it makes that folder in your My Documents with the log file in it, but the log file is also in the form of a web page. It's an HTML log file. Who does that? They're just sharing weird stories about the technical aspects of this game now, but like, seriously. It's odd. Darn it. Also, what's the balancing of these spells? Like, they give you the by far, what for me was by far the best one at the very beginning, which in a certain sense makes sense, but usually, like, that's not how the curve of, like, new abilities works. Why is there always a pet that runs away and explodes into money at the end? I'm not sure where that comes from. Yeah, though, even in 2 episodes, you couldn't even get through the first. I at least want to finish Maryville. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll be able to convince myself. Like, I don't really have spare time this week either to try. So I might just have to leave this game be, which is a really odd thing to say, considering like the technical barrier to completing this game is gone now. Like, I can complete the game now. Probably. Maybe. Maybe. It's yet to be seen. It's possible I'm able to complete the game now. At which point I feel like I should. Like I'm going over the bridge there. But it means duplicating so much stuff I've already done. And it's not like it's often the case in games where I've never been games where I've like redone some stuff on camera before, but it's always stuff that I can redo really quickly. That's not the case here. Oops. And I'm willing to accept the possibility that this game really is beatable, actually. You just have to start setting up Puyo Puyo scale chains all over the place. Which is just not something that I am willing to put in the time to learn to do. But again, it was not at all my expectation that I'd have to do that. Which I think is not a good expectation to break. No, actually, there are certain power-ups I can't get yet because we don't have the correct colors of fairies here yet. It's interesting. Come on, Balthazar, show up. I see, even here I'm getting impatient. The levels are just so long. They start off extremely short, but they just keep going more and more and more and more and more for dozens of levels. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm not worried about accuracy or anything like that anymore. Oh, come on. This last one is not Balthazar, is it? You better be Balthazar. Okay, you are good. I feel like I hit the progress bar limit at the very end, and I destroyed him. I feel like I hit the progress bar limit right after. The first fairies appeared or something, so I was not sure. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, maybe. I'll think on it. Whoa, 3 fireworks. But, I'd like to finish this game. I just don't know if it'll happen. We'll see. I may even just like place something else in between or something to give myself more time to occasionally poke at this to make progress on it. We'll see. And I can pick back up where we left off. Maybe. It's an open question. But either way, for the time being, next week I'll probably be playing something else. Then we may or may not come back to this. Bye everyone. Sorry for the unusual conclusion.